surround yourself with great people.
Yeah.
You surround yourself with mentors and people who have been there and they can teach you and train you, and give it all you got.
Yeah.
And then get out there and meet other good people that are in that similar like-minded place.
3, 2, 1, let's go!
Introduce yourself. Tell us your name, your law firm, and what type of law you practice.
Dick Ortega. Went to FIU Law down here in Miami, and these days I'm focused on construction litigation and construction project contract drafting. You know, we help with clients with the full scope from entering into a contract, resolving payment disputes, lien disputes, and if it arises, then we end up in litigation. So, and given my broad range of practice, like I've now help clients through all that whole process, but very focused on construction litigation and building that practice.
And what's the name of the law firm and where are you guys located out of?
Ortega Group, and we're in the Gables on 11th and Ponce, 1108 Ponce Boulevard.
So you, like, we talked about this a little bit before, and I want to know how it translates into your business now, but you start off at two major law firms, one heavy, the heavy hitter in Miami, big law firm. How did that make you a better lawyer and serve your clients better now in your own business?
We were talking about it earlier, and I think that it was really the level of practice that I've been exposed to. On these firms being larger firms, and having a great history of success, they've been able to attract heavy hitters and partners that, they build a reputation, whether in the courtroom or on working on really complicated and complex transactions. And when you work around these people, it's a humbling experience. It makes you level up. It's a difference if you're going to work out at the gym and you're just messing around, as opposed to if you go to a gym full of trainers or athletes. There's a different level of competition, and it in a good way. And the idea, seeing these partners, run through obstacles, deal with litigation strategies, develop the strategy, help clients solve problems, like and understanding like what's important here for the client, like always understanding what, like on the transactional side, what's the important thing, like what's the most important thing to the client, or the most important things, is crucial. Oftentimes lawyers, especially if they're trained on a lot of the law and a lot of the specifics, they lose the forest for the trees, and they either blow up a deal or they create a lot of issues in a deal because they're focused on something that doesn't matter to the client. In construction, this is like a big time issue is, delays, or the time to complete the project. Sometimes my client has a year to complete a project and they've already told me that they can knock this out in 3 months. So the liquidated damages, some of these other provisions for delay damages is not a big issue. So why am I going to spend so much time, negotiating that and exposing them there? And then on the litigation side, having worked with these partners, seeing them prepare for trial and really honing in on what's important and how to deliver that and get it in front of a jury was just crucial for my own personal development, and give me a lot of insight into how to deal with clients and focus on their wishes and ultimately be successful or help them be successful.
Yeah, you know what? I think the real test for a great lawyer is, and to know if they're a great lawyer, is who is their mentor and what's their pedigree. And a lot, there's like, you can really tell the difference. And there are occasional like unicorns. There's occasionally lawyers that somehow they didn't have that mentor. They didn't have that. They didn't come from a great firm, and they just are talented. But I think that's a much more rare like phenomenon. It's like the lawyers that you see that are like really crushing it, that are really good, that know how to speak to a jury, that know how to draft the contracts, they know how to represent clients, they're making good decisions. They came from a pedigree. Yeah. And really, like, it's almost like a bloodline. Like, you could go back for some of these law firms throughout Florida, and you can follow the bloodline from from years back. Like, this law firm had these three partners, and this partner trained this associate. That associate left and opened his own firm, and then became who he was, who hired a couple associates. And then those associates eventually, they left and they opened their own law firm. Yeah. You look at like John Ustall, Bob Kelly, like they came from Schlesinger. Schlesinger trained them. And then, I was the pedigree from the Kelly Ustall law firm.
Yeah.
And there's so many other ones like Grossman Roth. Like I had no idea, like, but there's a history. Stanley Rosenblatt was like one of like the biggest big time lawyers in Miami, like got a $146 billion verdict in tobacco, right? One of his first associates was Neil Roth, who is Grossman Roth. Grossman Roth is a top heavy hitter law firm.
Yeah.
Then go down the pedigree and you'll see people from Grossman Roth who have either they're killing it right now and they're still there, or they left, they opened up their own firm. You know, it's really cool because that is getting that mentorship and learning from the people that are great, and then taking all those skills and that experience and then carrying it with you.
Yeah.
It's changing. You know,
that first 1 or 2 years of you practicing law is so crucial because you spend so many hours in the office, and hopefully you're really working on a lot of detail and stuff, and when I see people that work in those fields, the first 2, 3, maybe 4 years, that pedigree really it's like a culture that gets embedded in you. And there's a certain level of whether it be the detail of practice or the professionalism or, your ambitions and what the expectations that you got to deliver. Like you set, the expectations are higher at those places. Yeah. And then you have to elevate yourself. And once you do that, it's really hard to come down. It's really hard to go from being surrounded by very competitive, like driven people that are trying to do the absolute best that they can, and then and then just relaxing and taking a step back. So absolutely, I think that where a lot of lawyers started, it's very indicative of where, when they build a practice or a law firm, whichever way they decide to go as they mature in their careers.
Yeah, there's an old saying, like you're the average of the people you surround yourself with, and just this whole entire podcast, really, I mean, like I think the message, at least a big part of the message is like, whether it's at the cigar bar and they're in business or they're law or they're doctors or whatever, or if it's at the men's clothing shop or if it's at Doc B's, like you surround yourself with those people that are out there and they're hustling, you're going to continue to rise. Yeah. You surround yourself with like poison people that are negative, people that are not, they're not motivated, or they're not putting in the hours, like you're going to end up down there with them.
Yeah. And by the way, you just did it. You just did the trial lawyer thing.
Oh,
you just took our 20-minute conversation and synthesized
boiled it down, dude.
That's you can't help it. It's something that's just in you, right? Like you're like, what are we trying to say here? And then boom, you nail it in like 2 or 3 sentences. So that was cool to watch. But I agree 100%. That's just building that out and being consistent. And by the way, not all of it is negative, right? I have friends that are always trying to get me to go hunting or go fishing, and those are not negative things, but I'm building a business. I'm trying to build for my family, for my future, and now that I have employees, like I have a responsibility to them to make sure that they're well paid, that they have opportunities to grow, like both intellectually and financially in their careers. So those are commitments I've made, and that I need to honor them. So yes, continuing to surround yourself with those people is crucial for your development, and it doesn't stop. I mean, I feel like I've been in the trenches for a long time, over 10 years now practicing law. And like I mentioned, I was working all throughout undergrad. So I've been in business. I've seen a lot of things happen, but I consider myself very early on in my career. I got another 10, 20 years left, and that I'm just going to build on all the principles I've already established.
Yeah, I love it. And I think as you build, as you grow, and you get more members of the team and stuff like that. But like you mentioned, you got people that are, hey, let's go hunting, or let's go fishing, or let's do, whatever it may be. Depending on how you set your business up, like those are the people, right, that are like super close. They know you, they trust you, they like you, and you have that experience with them. Like if something comes up and one of their friends is a business owner or whatever, and there's a construction problem, who are they thinking of?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because you spent that time, So I'm like, it's what I love to do now. Yeah. It's what I truly love to do now is just build relationships, just meet people. That we have an amazing team here at our firm, and they're working on the cases, and I'm here as the mentor. I'm here to give advice. I meet routinely every week to go over the cases and, run through all the cases, make sure everything's on track and we have the next steps, and if they have questions. But I think, like, at least for me, like I'm trying to step back, like from like a bird's eye view, and letting it operate while I continue to try to build the relationships and do some of the marketing and focus on that side of the business. You know?
Yeah. So I've been, particularly in the last like 6 months, trying to focus on that and realizing that I got to build. It's not just about me and the services that I can deliver, but making sure that if I'm not in the office, that the client is going to be equally taken care of. And you got to build systems. And that's when, focusing and specializing, knowing that your team can deliver just as good as you, or collectively, everybody's going to figure it out and deliver for that client. So I've been working the systems towards trying to build those, the protocols, the training, the delivery, the expectations, and it's a process, right? But going back to what you were just saying, like even to now that we started to doing some marketing. Prior to the first year and a half, there was minimal marketing. It was all word of mouth. And even now that we've started to do some marketing, get out there and really focus on our particular area that we're building on, most of my clients that have come in, the new clients and the clients that are sticking with, that are still with us, we're all relationship referrals. Hey, you got to call Dick, and you got to go talk to Dick. He's going to figure this out. He's like, no, just talk to Dick. And I've been in friend chats where there's like 4 or 5 other lawyers, and somebody asks for something, and I don't jump at it because I know there's 2 or 3 other lawyers that do the same thing.
Sure.
But the other lawyers in the same group are like, no, you need Dick on this.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
They'll follow up like, is this complicated, or is it, does it have to do with this, or is it, is it time, is it urgent, who's going to deliver? Talk to Dick. But it's because of what you said. Those people are my friends, right? So they know that I'm the one canceling the boat trip and the hunting trip to make sure that the client, the trial is ready, and the motion and the oral argument, everything is done right, Yeah. But to your point, hopefully that's part of the goal, right? Making sure that it's not just me, that there's a team that can deliver, equally as good as me or better than me collectively. And then I can continue pushing everything forward and overseeing it.
Dude, but I love it. I love what you just said, though, because part of it is it's those friends who are inviting you and you're saying, no, I got stuff I got to work on at the office, are the same ones that are like, hey, he's the guy, right?
Yeah.
He can't.
They'll give me a hard time, like, oh, you gotta stop working so hard. They'll tell me all those things, but when the work shows up, they're like, yeah, well, there's one guy that will do it.
He's working.
He's working. You can count on him to do it.
That's unbelievable, man. That's good stuff. So, how do people reach you if they want to get in touch with you? And first off, give me the broad array of stuff that you do in your practice, because I know construction litigation and construction transactional work is your big focus now. Give me the thumbnail sketch of what you're doing.
So on the construction, which is our focus, there's, we help primarily contractors and subcontractors either negotiate their agreements when they're entering into a project. We try to understand, what their focus is, what their priorities are, and make sure we deliver that. There's, in South Florida in particular, there's a lot of subcontractors that have been in business for decades, and they're doing very well, but they've never had a lawyer even look at their contract. And the way this started was they would come to me because they got sued or somebody else got sued and they were involved in a litigation. And I was like, well, we would have normally had all these remedies, but you don't because you have a pretty shoddy contract. So it very quickly, expanded into us revising their contracts, their agreements. So that's what we do. For subcontractors, we make sure that if they have standard contracts, we review them, we revise them, we help them with those notices that they have to provide. And then if they're actually engaging in larger projects where there's either an owner or a developer that has a more complex contract, we review that and make sure that they're protected as it pertains to their priorities. And it's important to understand that if it's particularly for the sub, there's limited leeway that they get, right? Because by the time they're bidding on a project, the form contract for everything has already been delineated, and you have to be very selective as to what is the crucial point that you want to make and get revised here, so that you don't lose the bid and you actually get awarded the contract, but you're still protected. So managing that and balancing that is something that we help clients with regularly. And now we have a group of clients that are just relying on us to do that on a monthly basis. And then if things go south and there's payment disputes, lien disputes, or if it ends up in litigation, I take all my experience and I help clients with that as well. So that's what we do on construction. we help clients throughout the process. I actually have one client now that they're in the process of getting their general contractor license, so we've been guiding them through compliance through that. So anything in the construction space, we've been building our team to deliver results and continue with that.
How does if they're a contractor, subcontractor, or in the field of construction, how would someone reach out and get in touch with you? What's the best way?
The easiest thing is our website because it has all our information. So Ortega Group .law. So that's the easiest way to get a hold of us, ortegagroup.law. And then our phone number is 305-315-2725. We'll have somebody answer and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, listen, dude, this has been a great conversation, man. There's a whole bunch of really, really good nuggets for people that are watching, from young lawyers or kids that are in law school. They're coming out of law school trying to think about how they're going to grow their business, where they're going to meet people, and how to get referrals, stuff like that. And then and obviously your knowledge with construction litigation and transactional work, really, really awesome.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Good stuff, man.